That was so good, man. That was so good. Man, so great. How y'all doing tonight? Yeah? This is great. This is great. Thank y'all. Thank y'all very much for coming. We're on this 16-city tour for Pakistan. And I have a weird relationship with Pakistan. It's hard. People keep asking me to explain it, and I don't know if I can. It's like a long story behind it. But basically, you know, I knew Pakistanis my whole life, and like several years ago, I started doing comedy, and I started talking about my experiences, and it went viral, and I got a comment on one of my statuses, I remember, and it said, "Jeremy, you're my favorite Gora." And I was like, I don't know what that means. I hope that's good. I hope that's a good thing. And so I put it into Google Translate, and it said it meant horse. And I was like, is that good in Pakistan to be a horse? I have no idea. Right? And I was really trying to figure it out. I was like, you know what? That makes sense, because like in India, it's the cow that's the sacred animal. So in Pakistan, it must be the horse that's the sacred animal, and I'm their favorite one. I'm like, you know what? Thank you. I'm fast, I'm powerful, I'm a very good Gora. Thank you guys. This is great. This is great. I went to Pakistan a year ago. I had a lot of fun. I'm going back in a few months, and I'm not supposed to announce that yet, but I'm excited. I'm excited to go back. I have to go back because the first time I went, I did not go to Karachi. Any Karachi people here tonight? I did not go to Karachi, so I have to go back to go. And I remember when I announced I was going like a year ago to Pakistan, I said I was going to Pakistan. Pakistan went crazy, and then I was like, oh, and by the way, I can't go to Karachi. And then all the people from Karachi were like, they don't have real biryani in Lahore. They have palau, and they lie. They lie, and they say it's biryani, and they say that's lamb in there, but that's not lamb, that's donkey meat. Biryani. I was like, this is weird, guys. I don't even know what's going on. I don't know what's going on, man. That was a very nice introduction. Thank you, Omar. That's beautiful, man. Thank you. I don't always get good introductions. I got a bad introduction a month ago. I was doing a show very much like this one, and the guy introducing me was just a Pakistani uncle who had no idea who I was. I think he Googled me 5 minutes beforehand, you know, and didn't know who I was. And so he's introducing me, and he just gets excited to be up there. He's like, please welcome to stage, stand-up comedy, and recent convert to Islam, Jiminy McLellan! And the crowd goes wild. Everybody is cheering. There's like aunties crying in the corner. And like, I've been looking through all for so long. This is beautiful. Thank you, Jeremy, for finally converting. And then I had to get on the stage and tell everyone the bad news. That I was not famous Muslim comedian Jiminy McLellan. I was Catholic comedian Jeremy McLellan. And the crowd turned on me. They were angry for the rest of the night because I had left Islam. I was Muslim for 5 seconds, and then I deserted the faith, and they were very upset with me. Believe it or not, that is not the worst show I've ever done. The worst show I ever did was like 3 or 4 years ago. This is a time when I started doing comedy. I knew a lot about Islam, and I knew a lot about Pakistan, but Islam and Pakistan did not know about me. All right, I was very unknown. I had just started out, and I had 2 fans in California. It was these Pakistani Muslim fans, and they wanted me to fly out to California and perform at their Pakistani wedding. And I was like, you know what? I have a lot of material about this, but no one knows me. But you know what? I'm nervous, but I'm gonna go. And so they sent me information about the 2 of them, Omar and Zainab, and instructions on like how to get to the event. And I was like, cool, you know what? This is gonna be fun. So I fly out to California, I find the hotel, I go downstairs, I follow the instructions, I sit up front, I wait for the speeches to be over, I go on stage, I do 20 minutes about Islam, Pakistan, etc. People seem to kind of enjoy it. I get off stage, I sit down. Right when I sit down, my phone goes off, and I look at it and it says, Jeremy, where are you? You're about to go on. and I realized that I just performed at the wrong Pakistani wedding. And so I get up, and I leave the table. I go out into the hallway, and I walk down the hallway to the correct Pakistani wedding, and then I get on stage and do the exact same set. And then I leave as fast as possible after that. And this happened like years ago. I still think about this once a week. Because to this day, every few days, it just gets in my mind. I'm like, what were they thinking when I was up there? Because again, no one knew who I was. I think today if I did this, people would be like, why is Jeremy McLellan here? But back then it was just like, who is this racist white guy who just showed up at our wedding and started doing material on stage like, this is what your culture's like. And then as I was on the Uber ride home, I was horrified when I realized this. I was like, oh no, I had been using their names during the performance. I was up there like Omar and Zainab, these crazy kids, and it was not Omar and Zainab. I'm just like, it's probably what their names are. So if you run into a couple from California who's Pakistani and who had their wedding crashed several years ago by a white guy, that was Jiminy McLellan, the famous Muslim comedian. So please, wasn't me at all. Please just blame it on them. That was one of the first shows. One of the very first shows, actually, that I ever did was for a Muslim charity very much like this one. And I didn't know what to expect. I didn't know what the rules were. Thankfully, they sent me a contract. I opened it up. 2 rules. It said, rule number 1, all your material has to be family friendly. And I was like, you know what? No problem. I can do family friendly. I can do extended family friendly if y'all want me to. Like aunts, uncles, cousins, grandparents, you bring them, I'm friendly. And then I kept reading, and it said, I'm not making this up, it said, rule number 2, you can't do any jokes about the difference between Sunni and Shia. And I was like, again, not going to be a problem, because I don't know the difference between Sunni and Shia. I mean, I know the difference now, but like, you don't, like even now, I still, like, am like, what happened the previous year at that event? Like to make them put that in a contract, you know what I mean? Like what comedian did they book? Was it you, Omar? Did you? Somebody just shows up and they do like a solid hour of Sunni versus Shia jokes, just ruin everyone's night. Like, so I got stuck behind this guy in traffic today, obviously a Sunni. You guys know what I'm talking about. Y'all know Shia don't tip, you know that? No, I don't know. I just made that up. And also, one of the things that I've learned, you know, as a Catholic, trying to learn about, you know, more about Muslims, is that the real schism within Islam is not between Sunni and Shia. It's about whether biryani should have potatoes in it. That's the real holy war, all right? So raise your hand if you think biryani should have potatoes in it.
No.
Ooh, okay. Raise your hand if you think it should not have potatoes in it. Okay, that's the majority. That's like a Sunni percentage of the audience, I think. Like the vast majority. No potatoes. I remember, so before I became a stand-up comedian, I worked with people with intellectual disabilities. That was my job. And I had a client, you know, just one of many clients that I had. But one client, his name was Saeed, and he was a Pakistani Muslim. And so I had to get to know him, you know. And it was my job, it was a weird job that I had, because it was my job as his Christian caregiver to help him be a good Muslim. Which is a weird relationship to have, you know, which meant I had to learn about Islam, and I got to admit, as his caregiver, I was a very strict Muslim. Right, like my phone would go off and I'd be like, it's time to pray. It's time to pray. No excuses. No excuses at all. It's time to pray. No, I'm not going to pray, but you got to pray. You got to pray. Or we would be out like at a restaurant for dinner, you know, and he'd be trying to order bacon or pork, and I'd be like, no, you can't have that. He's like, why not? I'm like, because Allah forbids it. And then the waitress would come and I'd be like, I'm going to have some bacon. I'm going to have his bacon. And it got real awkward during Ramadan, right? Ramadan's coming up soon. And it got real awkward because we would be out in public, you know? And he'd be asking me, like, can I have some water? And I'd be like, no, you can't have any water. He's like, can I have some food? I'd be like, no, you can't have any water or food. And people would overhear me. And they'd be like, why aren't you giving that boy any food or water? I'm like, because he's Muslim. They'd be like on the phone with care, like, to report a hate crime? What is this caregiver doing? But I remember one time his mom asked me over the phone, that's very important, over the phone to make him biryani, all right? He had been wanting biryani, and I love biryani, but I had no idea how to make it, right? It's not an easy thing to make, you know? And she was like, she gave me the instructions, she gave me the list of ingredients, and at one point she said, and make sure you put aloe in it. And I was like, why would you put aloe in biryani? And yeah, aloe, yeah. And like, I was like trying to make sense of it in my head. I was like, okay, so like, if the biryani's too hot, then you put aloe in it, like to soothe your mouth if it burns it, right? That's what the white stuff is on the biryani, it's lotion. You know, that's lotion, raita, it's Urdu for lotion. And so I made him biryani. I went to the store, I got the ingredients, including aloe. I mixed it in with the biryani, and I gave it to him, and he ate it, and he was like, Jeremy, this is disgusting. And I was like, what do you mean? He's like, there's no aloe in it. And I was like, no what? He was like, potatoes, aloe. And I was like, oh no. This is terrible. I don't know. It's great though. Things are different now. I have a lot of Pakistani and Muslim fans, which is great. There are some downsides to that. Like one downside is whenever I perform at a comedy club, like I don't know if you know this, but comedy clubs make all their money selling alcohol. And so when I perform at a comedy club, I have to call the manager ahead of time and let him know. Just so you know, a lot of the people who come and see me perform, like and buy tickets, are not going to buy alcohol. And they're like, why not? I'm like, well, because they're Muslim, they drink at home. And so it's not, they're very devout. Like they're not going to buy it at the club. They're going to do it beforehand. Right? Pre-game. It's like, it's a Muslim tradition. Pre-game, you go to the club, and I'm glad that, it is interesting, it is different though, performing for sober people, you know? There's a big difference performing for Muslims, is that like, you know, because, and I'm glad, you know, because like I read a statistic, and the statistic said that 1/3 of all traffic fatalities involve drunk driving, you know? Which is good, you know, which means that 2/3 involve sober driving, which means that sober driving is twice as dangerous as drunk driving. So please, if any of you get to the end of the night and you realize you're too sober to drive home, please call a designated drunk driver to come pick you up. All right, we call those Uber. It's Uber. I don't know. It's interesting though, you know, one of the things that I know from my experience, you know, and I don't know how it is in Chicago, but in my experience, Muslims tend to know a lot more about Christianity than Christians know about Islam. You guys feel like that's true? Like most of the Christians that I know don't know that Muslims believe in Jesus, right? And none of them know that Muslims also believe that Jesus is coming back, right? Like at the end of time, he'll come back, he'll kill Trump, and then there's this... I think that's what it says, right? I think that's... If you're filming, don't post this online. I like flying, and please just... He wouldn't even get it. Trump wouldn't even get the joke. You'd explain it to him and he'd be like, I'm the best Dajjal. Best Antichrist ever. No. You're better at that than I am, man. You teach me. That's good. But it's weird to me. It's weird to me that Christians don't know that Muslims also believe that Jesus is coming back, which means that if Islam is true and Jesus does come back, there's going to be a lot of very excited and then very confused Christians who are just like, Jesus, you're back! This is great! We were right! Thank you for coming! And he's like, you're welcome. Assalamu alaikum. I'm like, what? Oh no! We're wiping pork stains off our shirts, like, no. I like Muslims, you know, and a lot of people like that I go to church with and stuff. Not necessarily I go to church with, just like white people that I know and stuff, and people online. Like don't like Muslims, and I don't get it. You know, it took me a while to realize like why so many people like, don't like Muslims. And I think I figured it out. It's that in order to get accepted in America as a group, you have to have a holiday that lets white people get drunk. That's the key, all right? I figured it out, right? Because every other group that's been accepted in America has had a holiday that lets white people get drunk, all right? Like German people have Oktoberfest, you know? Mexicans have Cinco de Mayo. Irish people have breakfast. And Tuesdays, that's our holiday. That's when we get drunk. And Muslims, they don't have that, right? You got Ramadan. And you're like, well, okay, well, what's that? He's like, well, you can't drink anything, water at all. And you're like, oh, okay, all right. That sounds all right, you know? That sounds all right. And people are freaking out about a lot of stuff, you know? It's weird, like, I mean, one of the things that I'm sure you've noticed is that there are a lot more Christians than there are Muslims in America, you know? However, the number of Christians is going down, and the number of Muslims is doing pretty well. And it's a weird place to be. And one example, like one result of this, is that there are a lot of churches that are being turned into mosques. Have you seen these? There's quite a few of them. And people freak out about it, you know? And I don't freak out about it, but one thing that I don't like is when you guys don't even change the outside of the church. It's like you're trying to trick us, you know? It is. You're like, no, it's still a church. Come on, man. Come on, no, that's see, we even left the cross up. It's a giant T. It stands for Takbir. Just left that up. Come on inside. It's great. Because I know that like at a certain point, at some point, there's gonna be a Christian family that moves in down the street. All right? Starts attending and just never realizes that it's a mosque. They're just like, man, we've been going to this new church. And it's very different, y'all. Like, it is so different. Like, all the church services are on Fridays, right? Super convenient. They make you take your shoes off before you walk in, all right? It's very Japanese. We love it. We love it. Lots of nuns. A lot of nuns. Like, almost every woman there is a nun. And they let them marry, too. They changed the rules on that. And it's amazing. And, really progressive in that regard. And anyway, oh yeah, all the baptisms are in the bathroom. It's just soaking wet in there all the time. I can't figure it out. I don't know why, but they're very devout Christians. They baptize themselves like 5 times a day. They are on fire for the Lord. Like, can I get an amen? Like, they are on fire. And you know, anyway, we've been going about 2 years. Still have no idea what they're saying, but we never learned Latin, so it's on us. It's on us. You guys are great. I don't know Latin. I guess that makes me a bad Catholic. I am trying to learn Urdu. I'm trying to learn Urdu, and I need to learn more before I go back to Pakistan. And because the last time I went, I didn't know any Urdu, and I was like, you know what? I'll probably be okay. You know, and so like then like a week before I left, I was like, oh no, I gotta learn some. And so I asked my friends to teach me some, and I was like, okay, well, like when you go to Pakistan and you say hello to people, well, first of all, I went in August. The same time I'm going this year, and people were like, you're an idiot. You should not go to Pakistan in August. And it was because it was really hot, right? It was so hot there, and I get there, and everyone there is complaining about being hot. So they're saying, "Germi." And I have no idea what they're saying. Like, I'm next to this guy in like a Narcolee market, and he's complaining. He's like, "Oh, so gather me," and I was like, "It's actually Jeremy." Just so you know, it's actually Jeremy. I know you recognize me and everything. I never recognize you and everything, but it's actually Jeremy. And he was like, "No, gather me," and I was like, "No, Jeremy. It's Jeremy." But I asked my friend, I was like, okay, well, at least, like, all right, basics, okay? Like, when you go to Pakistan, how do you say hello to people? Yeah, Assalamu alaikum, that is not what they were saying, all right? I was prepared for that. I get there, no one is saying Assalamu alaikum, everyone is saying, Kaisi ho? But I have no idea what they're saying, so this is true for the first week I'm there. I think everyone is saying, guess who? Because you would go over to people's houses, they'd open the door and be like, guess who? And I'm like, who? And they're like, no, guess who? And I'm like, Jeremy. All right, I don't know what's going on. It's a goofy country, man. Goofy country. It's great, though. It's great. I had a really good time. It was awesome. I had a really good time. Before I went, though, I had to tell my family I was going. And my family's weird. They're very diverse. Like, my parents are wonderful people. They love you guys very much.
Thank you.
But I have extended family who don't like you. Like they're just, I guess they've met all of you, and they're just like, nope. Met all the Muslims, met 1.8 billion people, and we didn't like any of them. And I'm like, wow, that's amazing. That's amazing, really impressed. But my aunt freaked out. I told her I was going to Pakistan, and she had a number of reactions. Well, she was weird. The first reaction she had was she misunderstood what I was doing. She was like, oh, that's great! You're going and performing for the troops. I was like, no, we don't have troops in Pakistan. Besides like Raymond Davis or something, like, I don't know. Like, we have drones in Pakistan. I can go perform for them, just go out into a field somewhere, like, so what's the deal with airplane food, right? Can't do that. The second reaction she had was confusion. She was like, Jeremy, when you go and you're on stage and you perform in Pakistan, how are you going to be able to tell if the women are laughing? That's what she asked me, and I was like, what are you talking about? I thought she meant because the lights would be too bright. Sometimes you can't see the audience, and she's like, no, like how are you able to tell if the women are laughing? And I was like, oh, okay, I see what you're saying. Like, no, like the burqas move a little bit, right? Like, it's totally fine. Their husbands will tell me if they thought I was funny, you know? They'll hand me a note after the show that my wife enjoys you very much. And it's just like a note that says, ha 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 ha. Maybe that's what they'll do, I don't know. Her next reaction is like the stages of grief that your son's going to Pakistan. Her final reaction was fear. She was like, Jeremy, you're a Christian. If you go to Pakistan, someone's going to kill you. This is what she said. And I was like, no, you don't understand. Like, all the people that want to kill me live right here in the United States. All right, I'll be fine. Right? I'll be fine in Pakistan. Matter of fact, if I ever had to flee the United States, that's probably where I would go. Right? I'd flee the United States, I would go to Pakistan, I'd go to a city called Abbottabad. Because apparently you can hide there for years and years and years and years, and no one ever knows you're there. That was a bit long joke, those of you who don't know. I made a mistake, though. I told that joke in Islamabad. And this woman in the audience gets real mad. Most people laugh, but this one woman in the audience gets real mad, and she stands up in the middle of the show, and she says, excuse me, I'm from there. And I was like, really, you're from Abbottabad? And she's like, yeah, and it's not pronounced Abbottabad. I was like, oh, how do you say it? She was like, it's Abbottabad. I was like, oh, okay, well, that's why we couldn't find him. And makes sense, you know? Like, for years, George W. Bush was like, we gotta go to Abbottabad. He probably in Abbottabad, we gotta go get him. We're probably in Abbottabad. The CIA's like, we have no idea what he's saying. What is that accent? Is that even Texas? We don't even know. What is it? What is that word? What? Let's just wait for the next guy. And they did. And Obama took office, and he was like, it's out the box. So like, oh, okay, we're going to wait now. This is easy. That's what happened. That's what happened. I have good news, though, as I'm sure you know. 10 months ago, my wife and I had a beautiful baby girl, guys. She's awesome. Yeah. She's great. Her name's Jewel. She'll change it later when she converts to Islam, but for now her name is Jewel. Jew for short, you know. Only when we're mad at her. And no, she's awesome. She's the best baby in the world. I'm sure you've seen like pictures of her on social media and stuff, and she's just so adorable. And one thing I love that she is loved by people who love me. You know, there's lots of people who love her all over the world. And one thing I haven't gotten used to are the rishtas. Because like every week, I can show you my phone, every week I get messages from people in Pakistan who are like, this is my 10-month-old son, Haroon. And anyway, he was born the same day as Jewel. Funny. Anyway, so what do you say? Haha. And I'm like, I don't know, what does he do for a living? What kind of income does he have? Like, you can't just say he was born the same day. That's not enough. It's not enough. And so once a week, my wife and I go through these. We're like just swiping left on these babies. We're like, gross, what? No, swipe left, swipe left. Is that an Indian baby? No, swipe left. Just kidding. Swipe left, swipe left. Oh, he's cute. Yeah, let's save that one for later. Yeah, a nice little stack of them. One thing I like about names, like, is there anyone here who converted to Islam from something else too? Okay, I won't hold it against you. It's all right. But one thing I've noticed about people who converted to Islam is that you can tell when they converted to Islam by the names of their children. You ever notice that? Because I'll meet like white converts and they're like, these are my kids, John, James, Muhammad, and I'm like, so like right here? Was it right here about where it happened? And they're like, how'd you know? How'd you know? And just 2 weeks ago, we were in Portland, all right? We went to this show in Portland, and there was a white Muslim sitting right up front, and he had his 2 little like Aryan kids with him. Like, they were like white pride like kids. They were like blonde, blue-eyed, like master race kids. And, just kidding. But they were super white is what I'm saying, right? Super white. And I'm like, and he glared at me when I made that joke. And I was like, what are your kids' names? And he was like, Ralph and Iman. I was like, that's right. I'm right. With Catholics, it's different. With Catholics, you can tell by the age of the children when they converted. Because they'll be like, these are my kids. They're 15, 10, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Just gave birth last night, and she's pregnant, guys. Awesome. My wife and I have started to worry, though, that our baby might be Muslim. And not in the way that you guys are like, every baby's Muslim. Which is very aggressive, by the way. When you say that to non-Muslim, that's very aggressive. Like, this is my baby, she's Muslim, you just don't know it yet. Fitra, it's called Fitra. You don't even know. You don't even know she's baby. She's already a Muslim. I'm like, alright, chill out. And we've started to worry though, and there's some signs. Number 1, she was late. Alright, so it's like 2 weeks past her due date. We're like, this baby's on Muslim time. This is not right. Like, she'll come, inshallah. And so, number 2, when she was born, it was the first day of Ramadan. Right? First day of, you know what that means, right? A lot of messages on that day. And she eats at really weird times of the day, so it's like 1 a.m. and she wants dinner. I'm like, this is not white scheduling at all. Like, for us it's 6, noon and 6, that's it, guys. Like, this is not, I don't know. I have these Muslim friends, they're like, you want to have lunch at 3 p.m.? Like, what are you even doing? What is this? It's anarchy. But the main reason, I'll leave you guys with this, it's been a lot of fun tonight. The main reason we think she might be Muslim, our baby, is that we've been reading to her every night. Right? She loves being read to, loves books. One book in particular, all right? She loves the book Good Night Moon. You guys have heard of this book? It's a very famous book. Every baby has it. The problem is, whenever we read it to her, she starts arguing with us about whether she saw the moon. And it's just this huge debate, like every night. I'm like, no, it's right there. She's like, I can't see it. It doesn't count if I can't see it. I'm like, no. Good night. It's in the window, like right there. Right there. The schedule says that it's right there in the window. We don't go by the schedule. We go by whether we can see it with our eyes, like our ancestors. I'm like, no. Okay. ISNA says the moon is right there. We don't go by ISNA. They can't tell us everything. I'm like, all right. Seriously, it's cloudy. It's cloudy. I can't. I'm like, okay, all right, what are you gonna do? And so we're like, how are we gonna solve this? So every night after this argument, she crawls across the floor to her toy phone and she calls some Saudi babies to ask them if they saw the moon. And it's this huge thing. I mean, they can't control everything, honey. Anyway, you guys have been awesome. Thank you guys very much for helping out with helping me. Give it up one more time for Omar reading. I'll talk to Hussein and everybody else. Thank you guys very much. No problem.